Yo, what's up? This is Sleep. Welcome back to another video. Before I get into things today, I just want to mention I've seen some comments about my sound quality, and trust me, I'm fully aware that there are issues with scratching noises with the microphone, and also with some videos being more quiet than others. I am going to order a microphone soon, one that I can use that is just better than the one that I have right now, so I can go around and record better quality videos. And if that sounds good to you, like and subscribe. Anyways, I'm gonna get into the main topic of this video. Of course, I am talking about Manchester City losing to Leicester City 5-2, and oh my god, what a terrible game. I'm not quite as upset as I was earlier. I'm recording this at nighttime, and the game was earlier this morning, so I've kind of had time to process, and I've looked over different analysis from multiple sources. I've looked over the interviews after the game, what players had to say, what Pep said, and overall, I think that a lot of people are missing what the main issue of the game was for me. But I'm going to get into all that sort of tactical talk after I go over each of the goals. I think I'm just going to start off by talking about the flow of the game, and then I'll get into things while I'm doing that and afterwards. So right at the start, City were all over Leicester. We dominated for maybe the first 25 minutes, and I think for the whole first half we were the better side by a wide margin. The first goal was an incredible goal. Mahrez on his right foot on the volley, or a half volley, I guess, after a corner into the top corner. There's no saving that. Schmeichel just simply had to watch it go into the top corner. Arguably one of the goals of the season, and we're only 2 match days in for City at least. And first goals are so important. When City score first, we normally go on to just win and dominate, so I was expecting that to be just what happened today. I was expecting City to maybe struggle with Leicester a bit, but overall I was expecting us to get more goals and to just see it out, because once you get that first goal, you can kind of manage the game in certain ways. And City are one of the best teams in the world at managing a scoreline in general. Today we were awful at it. Leicester isolated our weaknesses, and they have one of the best players in the world to exploit them in Jamie Vardy. I mention it in multiple videos. Every time we're linked with a center back, or I talk about the defensive issues that City have, it's always about a lack of pace in the team, in both the midfield, but more specifically in the defense. And we get exploited for that constantly. And we were being targeted. Before Leicester scored their penalty, before they won the penalty, they had a couple of chances, and a lot of people were saying Garcia played well in the first half. I disagree. It's all good having a bunch of tackles and clearances and interceptions and stuff like that, but his positioning, for somebody that is so slow, your positioning cannot be so poor. There were multiple times when he would play Barnes or Vardy onside, and those players weren't necessarily found, but we were lucky that the passes weren't being made. He is dropping so far back from where Ake is, that Ake isn't expecting these players to be onside, but then they are, and that causes problems all over the place, because they'll get chances that City defenders weren't even aware of would be chances. They thought they were playing the offside trap. But the first goal wasn't necessarily his fault. It was Walker's for being very, very clumsy. A ball was laid through from Barnes, I believe, to Vardy and Walker, rather than just kind of let him shoot, because it was a narrow angle and Ederson might have saved it. Just very clumsily tugged at his shoulder. Wasn't too much contact, but if you give the referee the option, it's going to be a penalty every time. Vardy's going to go down. And it was a great penalty. Ederson's pretty good at saving penalties. He faced 3 today and couldn't save any of them. The quality of the penalties were fairly high today. And going into halftime, that was just a sucker punch, because City were dominating. I know it's easy to forget that now, looking at the final scoreline, but it was 1-1 at halftime. City had 70% possession, and that was Leicester's only shot of the game, their penalty. The second Leicester goal is more in line with what I'm criticizing about Garcia. The hints of his weakness were there in the first half, and they were just shown more in the second half, and they were exploited, as well as with Mendy's weakness in general. Mendy was beaten multiple times throughout the second half especially, but their second goal came from kind of a bad play out from City, sloppy play, giving the ball away. They worked it down the line. They got a decent cross in, and it was a great finish from Vardy. It was a nice little clever sort of back heel, side of the foot thing that went over Ederson as he was going down to the ground. And full credit to Jamie Vardy, top striker, incredible player, and he played really, really well today. But the defending, again, is just so bad. If Garcia sees that there's a mistake happening in the midfield, being a slow defender, and you know that Vardy is as fast as he is, you need to either stay very close to him, which you can't really do, so you need to drop off. And I know that gives him space if there is some kind of cutback, but it's better for you to be in front of the danger than like not involved in the play at all. It's better for him to be like on the 6-yard box and Vardy maybe gets it at the 10 yards out from the goal and he's able to kind of like get in front of the shot, rather than he's like 15 yards behind him, which is what happened. Ake went out to the wing after Mendy got beaten. The cross comes in and Garcia is a good like 20 feet behind. And he's not going to stop anything from there. It was a great finish from Vardy, like I said, but the defending is so poor. Third goal was again Garcia's fault. Like I said, he had a terrible game. It was very similar to the first goal City conceded. Barnes, I think, again, with a decent run. I'm not sure if it was Barnes, but I think it was. Plays it through to Vardy, and Garcia had the ball. Like, he was closer to it. He could have just cleared it and taken it, but he didn't. He was very slow to react. And as a result, Vardy's pace got him to the ball first, and when Garcia went to clear it, then he just took him down. It was very soft again, but it was a stupid thing to do, and you cannot swing your leg at somebody and not challenge for the ball, or it will be a penalty every time. Vardy is 35, I think, or like around that age. He knows just to go down when somebody swings a leg at him like that. Again, it was a great finish, and Vardy rounded off his hat trick. And if it wasn't for him being substituted out, he probably could have scored some of these other goals that Leicester ended up getting, because from here, Pep made a terrible tactical decision. And this is what bothered me, is that a lot of people online were saying this was an issue with the system. City are so poor defensively because of the system we play, despite us playing the same system and having a good defense in other seasons, so that doesn't make any sense. But there are issues with Pep as well, and I think this is where he kind of got City out of the game. This decision might have been made before they scored the third goal. Anyways, it was something that happened, and it did affect the last 2 goals that Leicester scored. Taking off Fernandinho was a major mistake. I saw Micah Richards after the game was kind of tearing into Rodri for not being able to hold down a midfield. You're completely missing the point. Actually, like, it gets me kind of like fired up. It's like infuriating to see somebody who is a professional player not understand the basic kind of error in tactics that Pep made, and he just focuses on the players. And I hate when pundits do this, when they blame it all on a player, when it's not necessarily the player's fault for the way the system changed in the game, and their like strengths might not suit what just happened. So take what happened in this game. You have a double pivot, 2 DMs in Rodri and Fernandinho, and you have De Bruyne in the middle ahead of that, right? Pep, in an effort to get more goals, I understand putting on Delap. It made a lot of sense. When I saw Delap warming up, I was expecting Foden to come out because he was non-existent in the game. I was expecting Sterling to go out to the left, Delap to be in the middle, Mars on the right, and then you'd have De Bruyne in behind. And we would create chances with that, and we might have scored more than we did. But Pep wanted to go like uber attacking, and when you do that, you give up balance in the midfield. And because there's half an hour left in the game, you're just asking for more issues and more goals to be conceded. And Fernandinho knew this. You could see Fernandinho was pissed that he got taken off. Fernandinho is an experienced guy. He knows how a game flow works. He knows that he was an important part of what was going on the field. And while City had conceded a couple of goals, at this point they were just defensive errors for me. It was City giving the ball away. It was poor penalties being given up. It wasn't because we were being outplayed by Leicester. And this change, the substitute, kind of flicked a switch for me where it became we were playing into Leicester's hands, because now we were going very attacking. We had no midfield cover, really. And then you have Leicester just free to counter our defense and get directly to them whenever they want. It's just foolish for me. If you're going to take off Fernandinho, then you look at who the midfielders left are, right? So in our original 3-person midfield, we had De Bruyne and Rodri who were left on the field. Remember, we're losing, right? So De Bruyne, our best creative player, you'd want him a bit more forward. Instead, Pep is asking for him to drop back, but De Bruyne doesn't want to do that because he wants City to win the game. So now instead of having the cover of 2 midfielders who are defensive-minded, you've got one defensive-minded midfielder who is more of a pass master than a real out-and-out like big defending, tackling player or like ball winner like Fernandinho is. And next to him you have De Bruyne, who can play in that sort of box-to-box position, but he doesn't want to. And then I presume he was moving Foden back into the middle, and that was the idea of the switch when he brought on Delap. But Foden clearly didn't get the memo, and neither did Sterling. We ended up with this very, very weird, kind of like 5 across the front line formation, and none of these players could really create any chances because they were all getting in each other's ways. You don't need Mahrez and Sterling with Delap, Foden, and De Bruyne all kind of being in that like attacking position, because four of those players believe that they're like acting as like wingers or attacking midfielders, and they're not realizing the amount of space you're leaving behind them, because now you just got Rodri who's by himself. And that's why Rodri was exposed so much in this later part of the game, and I get why you could maybe come to the conclusion that it was Rodri's fault, some of these like issues. But the reason he's so exposed is because Rodri is also trying to push up and help the team, and aerially he's one of our like strongest assets. So he has to get forward to an extent. And you just have so much space. And every time Barnes would get the ball, or Vardy would get the ball, or even like Tielemans, any of these players would get the ball, they were just trying to break through the midfield, and they were through onto the defense. And when you've got Mendy and Eric Garcia as part of that back four, and Walker, who's normally good defensively, playing like he did today, I thought Ake was the best of them. You're asking for trouble. All these players can be beat. They've shown that they can be beat in this game and in previous games. They've shown that they're slow, some of them, and that's just what kept happening. The fourth Leicester goal was, again, just very poor from Walker. Bad. I think it was like, I'm not sure who ended up being the one that gave it away, if it was Walker or Mahrez, or if it got intercepted. But just terrible decision from Walker to pass it to Mahrez, because Mahrez was facing back towards him and had a man on his back. So I don't remember exactly what happened there. But we give the ball up, goes to Maddison. Walker has the pace to get back and run past Maddison, and he chooses not to take him out. He chooses to run to the guy on the wing, and he points for somebody else to step towards Maddison, like to Garcia to like step out towards Maddison. And if I wasn't annoyed before, this just made me like infuriated. Like at this point in the game, I was like, what is City doing? Walker, I don't think, was on a yellow card. Could have just taken Maddison out. I'd prefer they had a free kick there and we kind of calm the game down a little bit. Then you allow this guy who's known for his distance shooting to have a pop, and you just put it in the top corner. Again, another great goal. Ederson had no chance with that one. But it was entirely preventable by City if the players just weren't making such silly and stupid decisions. After this, City got their second goal. It was not a great goal. I think it was a Mahrez corner, and then Ake scored. Ake was our best player defensively, did well to get this assist. I thought Mahrez overall was decent when he got the ball, and he normally is very good against Leicester, and he did get a goal and assist today. But for a large parts of the game, City just weren't finding Mahrez. I felt like when Sterling would get it, he would kind of lose the ball very often. He wasn't being very intelligent with his passing. Foden was like non-existent, and I feel like Mahrez was the same. And for a Pep system where we kind of try and like isolate these wingers against their fullbacks, we were just lacking that pass to our wingers over and over again. And from here, I was thinking 4-2, we've been humiliated here today, but it's not the most terrifying score. We've been beaten worse than that in the past, trust me. And that's what I'm hoping for, and then Mendy just has to go and do something even more stupid than what he's already done in the game. And when you've seen, I think it was Michael Oliver who was the referee today, when you've seen him give up 2 easy penalties earlier on, you don't give him the option to do it a third time. And this was the softest penalty for me, but it's like you're just asking for it. If he's going to kick him down, like, you're just giving the referee no choice. I thought Maddison went down like he got shot. Like, the way he went down, I think he should have been booked for diving, personally. I know I'm biased because I'm a City fan, but he got touched on his, I think it was his right shoulder, and he fell to his right side. So if you're being pushed, I don't get how you fall that way. But also the way he went down, his like legs like shot out weirdly. But Tielemans stepped up, and it was a great finish again. And then City just were like not really putting in the fight here, and that's what really bothered me about this game, and is why I'm kind of, now I'm worried. I was optimistic after the system we employed in the first game. Now I'm kind of panicked. I know we're missing a lot of players through injury right now, a lot of first team players. Aguero's out, Bernardo's not playing, Laporte was only a substitute. It looks like we're going to get Diaz. I'll probably make a video on that as well. But just adding all these players in isn't going to solve everything. I think Pep needs to really look at himself in the mirror and realize, like, sometimes it's not so complex. You have a better team if you just match the formation sometimes, or just play the way you play, and your players are better, you'll win the game. But when you make really weird decision choices, like taking Fernandinho off and exposing your defense further, you're just asking to be punished. And as much as a Diaz might be like a commanding leader type player, and he comes into the team. Of course, him and Laporte will be a much stronger like center back partnership. You can maybe move Ake out to left back. He'll be more sound defensively than with Walker. But what we really lack is pace and understanding from our midfielders. Anyways, that's all I have to say about the game. It was just very disappointing. If I had to pick a best player from City, I'd probably go with Mahrez. Ake is up there as well. But the man of the match for sure is Jamie Vardy. Just tore us apart. He does it to City consistently, and I think he's only scored more goals against Arsenal, like in the top 6 sides that he's played. And he's a very underrated player still, an incredible striker. Hopefully the next match is better. It pretty much needs to be, because if Pep keeps losing games like this, I don't think City would sack him, but I think Pep might lose that fight. He might lose that motivational power he has, and he might just end up stepping down from City, when he really doesn't need to do that. It's just a couple of slight tweaks and not making these weird, stupid, complicated substitutions when it's not necessary. Alright, if you watched all the way through, I really appreciate it. Like I said, I'm going to try and improve the quality of these videos in the coming weeks. I'm going to try and get a microphone, and I'll probably try and record earlier. As you can see, it got very dark. I'm sorry for that. I'll do my best to kind of like edit it afterwards. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you want to see more Manchester City content. I will post a video after every game reacting, and I normally try and do match previews and such. I've just been very busy. I do other soccer or football related content. If you want to see that, subscribe. Comment your thoughts on the match. If you disagree with points I made, let me know. I'm eager to discuss. If you think that I said something wrong or I got something off about how I described the game. Okay, that's all. Thank you for watching. This has been Sleet, and I'll see you later.